Hello, I'm Peter Thomson. You may have come across me before because I'm the co-author of a book called Future Work, which was 10 years ago now that was written. I co-wrote it with somebody called Alison Maitland. And between us, we reckon that the world of work was changing quite dramatically, and we were going to see people working flexibly, working from home, and so on. Little did we know then that it would take a pandemic to actually make that change really happen. What's happened, I think, in the last year or so is that we've accelerated the change of work by 20 years because we've been forced to work at home, not in ideal circumstances, and we've learned a lot about that. Consequently, the world of work is going to move on, where it's been a real discontinuity in the way that we've evolved, and we're never going back. So I was very interested when Mark Thomas approached me. Mark had been a case study in the previous book, and he said he was interested in writing something about what's now happening to the world of work. And that's how we got here, isn't it, Mark?
It is, yes. And hello, I'm Mark Thomas, and I remember as if it was yesterday that we started talking about your book, Future Work, and you very kindly featured my marketing consultancy Word Association in the book, as we've been pioneers of home working, or teleworking as it was often called in those days. Some 10 years on, and I celebrated my 60th birthday and started thinking about semi-retirement and really getting the sort of ultimate work-life balance with a bit of work and a lot more leisure. And then all of a sudden, COVID-19 came along, and it got me thinking about what I wanted from life. All those travel plans that I had didn't take place, but it also made me think about what was happening in the world of work and how all those things that we predicted 10 years ago that trickled into substance, if that's not a mixed metaphor, turned into a torrent of a flood of activity when the pandemic occurred, and how businesses that had thought about remote working really made it happen. And how fortunate were we that technology had reached a point with platforms such as Zoom and social media that we could really make it work, and so we did. And the changes that are resulting from what is happening, I think are profound, not just for the individual, but also for the world as a whole. Yeah. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, it's interesting because the previous book was very much to do with organizations and management of work, whereas this one, I think, is much broader, because the impact is not just on how are we going to implement remote, flexible home working in future. It's also what's it going to do in the way of social change and so on. And my interest has been very much on what does it mean for leadership and management. But I know your interests are kind of broader. Do you want to make a comment about social change, perhaps?
Yes. I think the social change occurs on a whole bunch of levels, really. Certainly in terms of the individual having the opportunity to work from home, no longer having to commute every day in and out of work. It could have a massive positive impact on people's mental health and their general well-being, and I think we're seeing the start of that now as we have come in and out of lockdown. People will be able to spend more time with their families. People will be able to do more in terms of their physical health. But it goes much further than that, and these changes, which mean that people work where they want to be, work at home, have the choice of where they work, will affect how our cities operate, so that our cities will will change from places that are just designed for commuting and to accommodate workers, but are there to meet the needs of people. And our cities, of course, are very important to what happens to our planet as a whole, and reduced commuting, reduced business travel, reduced energy consumption as a result of people working from home rather than in their offices, has the potential to have a huge impact on the planet, and could be the jolt that we need to make those big environmental changes that are absolutely vital.
So it sounds like this book is of interest to a fairly wide audience, then, not just to kind of managers and people studying work, but actually anybody who's impacted, which is virtually everybody in the world, in terms of the way society is changing, all the environmental issues, and how people are working, and indeed how they're traveling or not traveling, and so on, and the future of cities and things like that. So it's certainly a major impact. So I guess our message definitely is that we want people to read the book, to go to the website. You can remind us of the web address.
Yes, the web address is nevergoingbackbook.com, and as well as information about the book, there is information about people who have been case studied. There is information about how people can make that journey from working in an office to home working. You can submit a case study also that might appear in the book. So yeah, there's lots to discover on the website.
Great. And so what's our final message? I guess it's we're never
going back.
Thank you.